All right. So today we're going over Ansible inventories and YAML. It's going to be a pretty quick lesson, but it's going to be a fun one. So do I have a volunteer for someone to kick us off and read us this section? Oh, sorry. I realized I wasn't sharing. Yeah, sorry. Someone want to read this section?
Sure. Ansible inventories and YAML. As we learned yesterday, Ansible is an open source software platform for automating and configuring IT infrastructure. It uses simple human readable language to describe IT resources and configurations, allowing administrators to automate and manage tasks such as provisioning, configuration, management, deployment, and orchestration. As we dive into Ansible, one of the first steps is to get comfortable with YAML. YAML ain't markup language. YAML is simple, human-readable data serialization format that Ansible uses to define configurations, playbooks, and inventories. What are we trying to accomplish? Since Ansible uses YAML, we can be better prepared to write Ansible configurations by learning a bit more about YAML. YAML is designed to be readable and structured. YAML's clean and straightforward syntax makes it easy to read and write, which is crucial for managing complex configurations. It also organizes data hierarchically, which aligns well with the structure of Ansible playbooks and inventories.
Awesome. Thank you, Tristan. Yep, that is not a typo. That is actually what YAML stands for, is YAML ain't markup language. So that's a little nugget of information. But yeah, YAML is not just used with Ansible either. It's used quite often since it's just pretty clean and simple syntax. It's not really a markup language. But you can still use like lists and objects in it and its own like little syntax. But it's pretty straightforward English and very easy to write and understand what is going on. But it pretty much just consists of like key value pairs. Yep. And then Ansible. We'll dive a little bit more into that here in a bit. But let's see what we got for YAML. Yet another markup language. I don't think it's a markup language. But yeah, YAML is a human readable markup language. Oh, I guess it is markup language. My bad. Even though it stands for YAML ain't markup language. But it is often used for configuration files as it is structured enough for a program to interpret, easy for humans to read, and relatively easy for humans to write. Ansible is one technology which is heavily used on YAML for its configuration files. That is true. You're going to be writing like Ansible playbooks based on like a YAML file. It's pretty easy. Another kind of use for YAML is really just kind of any configuration files. You just store any kind of data in it, and then let's say you want to iterate over that YAML file with like Terraform, and you can provision like Terraform resources with it. That's just another use of YAML. There's lots of them. So, yep, YAML's a very common thing. Looks like there is a reticle, or I'm sorry, an article in Red Hat for more detail on YAML basics. A YAML file can have either a .yml or a .yaml as its file extension. File extensions are primary key value pairs, dictionaries, and lists. There are more, but there are the basic building blocks. So yeah, this is pretty much what a basic YAML file looks like. You're always going to start with these three dashes. And then so it's pretty much just all key value pairs, right? You have a key and then you have a value. You have a key and you have a value. So you can think of it as like a hash map or an object or a dictionary. But they also have lists, right? Like an array or however, just a list. And those are defined with single dashes. And you can also combine the two. Right, if you wanted an object with as like a key, right? And then or you could have a key and then its value be a list, such as this. So right, you have multiple hobbies, painting, playing music, cooking. Yeah, so that's YAML. That's it's pretty simple and straightforward. I think everyone here is familiar with JSON format, right? Like the language or I guess like the format of the web, or you guys are familiar with JavaScript, so JSON should look familiar, relatively similar. But this is pretty much what it would look like, right? A list, well, the above YAML converted over to JSON, I should say. But yeah, pretty much a list of an object, keys and values, and then another object of an object. Yeah, you take more time to look at it and compare and contrast if you want, but it's pretty straightforward. And then it's just kind of getting into PyYAML, which is a module if you want to read more about it. And it just yeah, it's just another command line module. It's pretty common. Yep, you'll have to have pip installed, which I think everyone does, but no need to really go too deep into PyYAML since we're not really going to be using it. All right, let's head over to Ansible. Does someone want to read the how it works section? Just probably right there, just this first section.
Okay, go ahead. How Ansible works. Ansible uses a push-based architecture. It pushes changes to the nodes it's managing rather than requiring an agent to be installed on those nodes. It supports multiple operating systems, including Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. It can be used to manage a variety of systems, including servers, network devices, and cloud resources. Additionally, Ansible provides a large number of pre-built modules that can be used to perform common IT tasks, as well as a flexible and extensible framework for writing custom modules.
Awesome, thank you, Cassandra. So this is the basic working diagram of Ansible. You're pretty much just going to use SSH into these different target nodes. So I guess I should start off by saying you have a control node, which is, you can think of it as kind of like your master node. But this is like your instance where your Ansible is going to be installed and where your playbooks are executed. And then you're going to have, you can think of these managed nodes as like sub nodes or children of the control node or the master node. And they're just going to be remote servers that Ansible that the Ansible is managing and automating. So you really just have like one to many relationship here. Playbooks, YAML-based files that are defined, desired state of the system, the task to be executed on the managed nodes. So this is pretty cool. I'm just going to write like a YAML file, and then it's just going to execute, and you can determine so you're going to have like users and groups and stuff like that, and you can have all these different like nodes or like instances, and like you can kind of organize them, and then you can have it literally do whatever you want on for those nodes or instances, if you may. Modules are small reusable scripts that perform specific tasks such as installing packages, managing files, etc. And we all know SSHs. Ansible connects to the managed nodes over an SSH to execute their modules, right? It's just a secure connection, a way to transmit data between the instances. Cool. So benefits of Ansible. Some benefits are easy to learn and free to use. Ansible uses a simple human readable language, YAML. YAML, a markup language, for writing playbooks, making it easy for developers with little to no automation experience to start using it. Agent architecture. Ansible does not require any agent software to be installed on the managed nodes, making it easier to manage large dispersed environments. It uses SSH to connect to managed nodes and execute tasks. Large community and ecosystem. Yeah, that's very true. Ansible is very widely known and very respected. It's used quite a lot in the professional development field. So Ansible has a large active community, which means it has a wealth of resources, plugins, and support. Multi-platform support. Ansible can manage a wide range of operating systems, including Linux, Unix, Windows, and making a versatile tool for automating infrastructure and application across different environments. Yes, yep, it is very flexible. You could use Ansible pretty much everywhere. Improved efficiency and reliability by automating routine tasks. Ansible can help reduce errors, speed up deployments, and improve the efficiency and reliability of IT processes freeing up time for more strategic work. Pretty much, it's just a quick and dirty way to automate your instances and host servers, whatever you want to call them, and to kind of group them effectively in whatever kind of order you want, and just perform any kind of task. Like if you want them all to, I don't know, install Apache on them, then you can go ahead and do that. If not, I mean, you could always just like categorize them, only give like half of them, make them install Apache or whatever. So it's pretty cool. Do we have any questions so far? Cool. So this is going to be the big focus today is the inventory. It's just a list or pretty much a configuration file or I guess a text file really, that has a list of hosts that Ansible will manage, including their IP addresses and other information required to connect to them. Right, you're going to have different stuff in there, like you could have roles, variables, some other stuff in there. A playbook is a YAML file that defines a set task to be performed on a group of hosts, often used to automate complex processes. Kind of spoke about that a little bit earlier. You guys went over playbooks yesterday, was that right? I haven't looked at the lecture yesterday, so I'm not really sure what you covered on it. Looks like just an intro, but anyways, a task is a single action to be performed on a host, such as installing a package or copying a file, right? You're going to have multiple tasks. I'm sorry, you're actually going to have multiple plays, but anyways, module is a unit of code that implements a specific task, such as installing a package or copying a file. Ansible ships with a large number of pre-built modules. That is true. There's actually a command that you're going to use when using modules in Ansible. I think it's like -m. Actually, just check down here. Yep, -m. A role is a collection of tasks, files, and other resources that can be used to perform a specific function, such as installing a web server. Variable, a name value that can be used to store data, such as IP addresses of a host or the version of a software package. A fact is information gathered about a host, such as its operating system or available memory. Ansible uses facts to make decisions about what tasks to run. A play, so a playbook has many plays in it, but it's going to be a set of tasks performed on group of hosts, often organized into roles or groups. I typically call it a group, but you can call them roles. It's all the same stuff. Group just, I don't know, helps me memorize what it actually is. But a task list, a list of tasks to be performed in a specific order. An ad hoc command is a one-time command that can be run against a group of hosts to perform a specific task, such as pinging all hosts to check connectivity. So yeah, you could use like I think it's like the all command when you want to hit like all of the specified host in your inventory. Anyways, I guess we can go ahead and start installing Ansible, and we're just gonna create 3 instances. I'm gonna use Terraform to do this. Just makes it so much quicker, but feel free if you want to go to the console to make them yourself. It's going to be a lot longer. But yep, you're more than free to do that. And then you're just going to have a security group with SSH port 22, and then also port 80 on the ingress, and then probably just a quad 0 for the egress. But yep, let me just go ahead. Actually, I think I had it pull up earlier. Yep, there we did. Let me just run through the code real quick. Let's see, does that not minimize? Pretty easy. We kind of went over this in the past, right? You have your provider, AWS, that specifies your region. I believe that's, what is that, like Virginia or something like that? And then Terraform, we're going to be using the HashiCorp AWS version 4.16 for AWS. And let's see, I'm just creating the master, right? I'm just creating the 3 nodes, the master node, node 1, and node 2. And when you guys are creating this, also don't forget your key pair, right? You just do your key name and then your path to your key value pair that allows you to SSH into them. And then I also just I just added the security group ID to them, which is down here. Right, security group. And then just remember I had the port 22 for your SSH, your port 80, and then just quad 0 for your egress. Okay, so pretty simple stuff. Or I guess straightforward. I shouldn't say simple. There's kind of a lot of moving parts. And I know we're kind of making you guys drink from like a fire hose. Anyways, we can just do a Terraform. I've already done a Terraform init, so I don't have to initialize it anymore. So I'll just run a Terraform plan and verify that, what is that, like 5 resources? Or I guess 4. Yep, the 3 nodes and then the one security gress or a security group that is on each of them. So let's run a Terraform apply, and then I like it, so I just want to auto approve it. Ooh, I think I left out a P. Yep. If you guys have any questions about any of these commands, by the way, just if I'm going too quick, just stop me and let me know. Just go ahead and ask your question. You don't have to wait for me to ask you if y'all have questions. So it's going to take a minute to provision those. Oh, make sure you're using Amazon Linux too when you're going through this. Well, I don't know if you're gonna go through these or not because it's kind of different than the assignment. But if you're gonna, I don't know if you're following along, make sure that your image is the Amazon Linux 2 in the current region that you have. Otherwise, you're gonna have some errors. I don't know, maybe I won't be able to use yum and you have to use like apt, right? Whatever the package manager is for that said instance. But anyways, Amazon Linux Extras is a part of Linux 2, the Amazon Linux 2 image, and not just like the regular Amazon Linux. I ran into an issue with that earlier when I was running through this. So just be mindful of that. Anyways, let's go and let's SSH into our master node. So we just provisioned it in Terraform, so it should be up on the console. Let's just refresh this. Cool. So that's the master node that I deleted earlier to practice with this. But anyways, here is the master node that we just created. And then there's node 2 and node 1. Don't mind the terminated ones. Anyways, we're just gonna go ahead and actually we're gonna want to connect to it first. So let's stage client and mode that. And let's SSH into it. Yes. And cool. We are now in the Amazon 2 master node. Cool. So let's see what's next. Next we're going to install Ansible. So we're just going to do a sudo yum update with the -y. Remember that is just it just auto says yes to all the any kind of prompt that comes up. So let's go ahead and now do a sudo Amazon Linux extra and then install Ansible 2 with a flag Y. So we just don't have to be annoyed with any kind of prompt that asks us questions if we want to proceed or not, because we do. Awesome. Looks like it is complete. Cool. And we can check that by just doing a Ansible -- version as pretty much everything else, right? Great, we are running 2.9.23. So as long as something comes up, you'll be fine. Here's a couple command line options. These are like the short, I don't know if you guys know how to read this or not, but here's like this is pretty common format for a lot of options. It kind of tripped me up first when I was learning it way back when. But usually you give like a shorthand, a quick way of doing it, and then you could also do like a longhand, like a flag. So these things are called flags, and then they're just pretty much like command line arguments, really. But yeah, so when running Ansible commands, you run like the -o, and that just condenses everything into an output, kind of just one lines it. Not really one lines it, but it just shortens the output. You're not going to get every little detail about it, or like extra spacing or whatnot. You have the dash A, just like arguments. You can pass in like a map kind of thing, right? Key value pairs. You do like option one about, whatever. You do your key and your value, but you can do that. It'll come in handy later on when we're running some command. Yeah. And then M, we talked about the module, right? There's going to be a bunch of built-in modules for Ansible that we're able to execute. Excuse me. Some of them are like ping, and then there's a few more, but you just use the dash M. I just think of like make module, but whatever. You could just call a bunch of different ones. And then the become method, which is privilege escalation method to use, kind of like sudo. Yep. Oh, I didn't see this before. Use Ansible doc dash T to become dash L to list the valid choices. Okay. So all right. So there is an inventory is pretty much it's going to be like a text file for you can place all your hosts and like different variables and stuff like that in it for Ansible, right? But you always want it to be on your master node. You're right, your master node is just going to control your like child nodes below it, right? All your managed nodes. So you want your inventory to be at the top level. Here's another thing to talk about before I actually create like the inventory, is that there is a default inventory that lives in, it's not called inventory, I believe it's called like roles, and it's just automatically created when you download Ansible. However, some instances don't let you edit it, but you could always do like create your own inventory and do like a dash I, which I'll show you here in a sec. That just tells your Ansible command to look at that inventory or to like use that as like an argument. Okay, so anyways, let's just go ahead and create. We actually just copy this, right? There's nothing actually going to be in this instance, right? We just created it, and we're just SSH into the master. So if we want to vim inventory, that creates the inventory file. It doesn't need an extension. You could put like a .txt extension if you want, but this is totally valid. Anyways, so we're just going to copy this and we're going to put it in there, and we can kind of run through this. So this is going to be a role or a group, if you may, and underneath it you can just put your nodes. We could actually put two nodes. Oh, here. Oops. What am I doing? We could actually put two nodes in, right? Because we created two nodes. And we'll just have to update it. So let me just run through what all of this stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually need to go in insert mode first. So you do that by pressing I. I think most of you or all of you should be familiar with that. But anyways, right here, the web servers, that is going to be your role. So you're just going to have, and you can have like multiple ones, right? Like you could have like your web servers, and then you can have like your database. You could have literally, you can call it whatever you want, right? It's just like a logical container, if you may, of whatever you want to put in it, right? You could also combine them too, right? So you can have let's just do this. If I wanted to do like DB servers, and then I would just list like node, whatever. But anyways, let's break down this. What are these? Let's run through this. So right here is an alias. You can call this whatever you want, but you're just going to link it up to your, like each line, you're just going to correlate it to an instance. So I want my first node to be called node, my first instance to be called node1, right? And then after that, it doesn't really matter what order of like arguments you pass into it for each one, but either way, it's going to have like an IP address. So let's go over and grab our IP addresses for node 1 and node 2 that I'm just going to put in the group or role web servers. Yep, do stop me if you guys have questions along the way. I don't want to lose anyone here. So node 1, we're just going to copy and paste that. I don't think we could actually do that, but yeah, no, I didn't think so, but it was worth a try. and we're just gonna post our IP in there. And then we're setting it, our Ansible user to EC2 user as well. You could really do like any kind of user you want, or like set whatever kind of users you want. Like you could have it root, but EC2-user is what we're gonna go with for now. So let's go to node 2 and get that IP address for it. And we'll put it in here. Okay, so now we do have our web servers defined, and we put our instances in there. Remember, we are SSH'd into our master node. And then, okay, let's go down right here. So let's break this down. What is web servers and then colon vars? So typically what you're gonna do here is you're gonna name your role, and then this like colon vars is like a special keyword. You're passing in vars. It's like you're creating another variable group, right? So like whatever you put in here is gonna follow, it's gonna become a variable for whatever group you assign to it, right? So if I wanna, like this is, so each node needs to have like a username and password, right? It's just, you want it to be secure and locked down. So to be able to do that, we're going to be doing SSH. So you need to have this, this is like it comes with Ansible. It's just like a keyword, right? Ansible SSH private key file. And then you're going to put in, this kind of comes with it, the /home/ec2 user/ and then whatever the key file name is. I'm just going to put my AWS key.pem in it. And then that will just, we'll just use that SSH connection for connecting into these hosts, right? So we'll be able to do like, you can like ping the host to make sure like the connection's working for those. All right, so I'll just do AWS-key.pem. Okay, so I'm going to now escape out of it. I'm gonna colon, and then I'm gonna W for save and Q for quit. Okay. And we can ls, and that's our inventory. So let's go back to the lecture. And we could actually, so to use the this inventory, you need to do like a -i flag. Just, you know, you're just pointing to be like, hey, this is my inventory for my master node or whatever. And then so this all command is you're just gonna hit all the roles in your inventory. And then -m is your module, which is, and then you're using the ping module, right? You just want to ping all of the nodes in your inventories that you specify. So that's kind of breaking that down. So if we run that command, oh, you know what? I am getting an error because I forgot to put in my AWS key.pem. Oh, actually, pretty sure that's just going to fail. Yep. That's exactly why. Let's see if I could actually like, there we go. Let's clear out of that, and let's just create that file, right? Let's just do a touch AWS. What do I call it? Key.pem. And then vi AWS key.pem, insert mode, and let's just go ahead and just copy it over. Why not? It's easy. And then escape, colon, WQ to save it, enter, and we should be good. So let's run that command again. Actually, here, let's just do an ls. Yep, we're all good, should be in there. And now we can run our Ansible all module. We're going to use the ping, right? And then we're going to specify with the -i for the inventory. You can really call it whatever you want. But yeah, but it is called Ansible in change false, message failed to connect the host, SSH, unprotected private key file. Oh, you know why? Because I have to chmod it, right? Chmod 400 AWS key.pem. Oops. Key.pem. All right. Maybe now it'll work. All right, there we go. So there's node 2. Anyways, but you see it says success. I think it's still running for, did it fail one? Node 2, might have failed one. Why did it fail? No, it didn't. Just kidding. It's just taking a minute. There we go. Okay, yeah. So that's another thing that's kind of annoying with Ansible is it'll throw up all these warnings. You don't really have to pay attention to them. They're always going to throw warnings and it's kind of annoying. Unless it's an error, then you kind of want to read it. But anyway, so we're in the master node and we're successfully able to ping each of these nodes as a single right, we just pinged all of them, all the roles. But what happens if we just want the web servers, right? Actually, here, let's go and do a less on our inventory again to just bring that up again. Inventory. And what if we just want this role? What happens if we have like multiple roles and we just want to see if we can, I don't know, run a command on these two, right? We can absolutely do that. So I can, instead of doing the all command, you could just put in that role. You put in web servers. And it's going to do the exact same thing pretty much, right? So ping I don't know why it's pinging the second one first, but it is. But anyways, you can see that we did that. But let's go back into our inventory. I might be going off the script right now, but it's okay. This is all good stuff to know. And let's just go ahead and like create another role, right? Say if you want like a DB servers, right? And let's just go ahead and copy this node too. I don't know. And I guess it doesn't make sense to have that in there anymore. And then let's just make another one and let's just call this, I don't know, combined. I don't know why you would ever do this, but I'm just using it to show you, but you're gonna want node 2 and let's just put node 1 in here again. But that's the combined is pretty much simulating the all in this scenario. But anyways, I just want to show that you can use different roles to access whatever nodes you have in your inventory. So let's escape out of there, colon, WQ. Very tedious, but something you guys should all memorize because it's just working in the command line is, to be honest, is just superior. I much prefer using the terminal to do most of my work than using like an IDE. But anyways, so let's just clear that out, right? And let's run that Ansible web servers now, right? Remember before it came back with both of them, but we kind of changed it. So it should only come back with the one server now, right? We have only node 1 in there. And similar, we can run the, instead of web servers, what do we call it? I believe it was like DB servers. We can ping that and it should just come back with, why is it failing? Denied, public connect to, oh, I'm happy this came up. Can anyone guess why we got an SSH error? Trying to go to node 2. As before, when we did it all in the web servers role, it worked. Anyone want to take a guess? We kind of covered it. Not too much in depth. Anyone know? Okay, well, let's go back to our inventory and let's see. So right here for vars, right? We're setting up the password. So you can very much put like this, you can very much put that in line under your roles in like each node individually, right? But it kind of just saves time using this var section. So if I wanted to, this is only the vars for web servers, okay? So if I wanted to just make it DB servers, that's totally fine, and it would be able to SSH, right? It's showing the access to the SSH. However, if I want it to be all of them, I would just say all, or I can have combined, which essentially is the all. But that would work just as fine as well. But you can see you can make all these different vars and stuff like that just to hold your variables. Like there's all sorts of like different parameters and arguments that you can pass into these. Right. There's probably some documentation. Yeah, I think this is it. About like all these different parameters like Ansible host, the ports, users, passwords, right? The passwords are SSH key file that we're using for this instance. But yeah, so there's like all of those different parameters that you could pass in. But yeah, so that's what you use for the vars. So now that we've changed this to combine, it's now having node 2 and node 1 under it, or you can just, to be honest, this combine is kind of useless. Unless we wanted to do some more like roles under here and like have different hosts and stuff like that in there. But you can also just do the all, and that should be just as fine. So we just clean that up. So let's run the database servers. And that's good, right? So now you just have the singular node 2 in there. And again, just to have a little bit more fun, because I like Ansible. I think it's a pretty fun tool. And it's relatively easy once you start getting the hang of things, but you just run the all. And that's just pinging my node, both my nodes under there. But you know what, let's go ahead and get rid of this warning. This is pretty annoying. I think there's a command down here. We kind of went over this, the roles. Actually, we did go over this, the roles, database servers. You could have each inline is your instance, right? Like these are just your IP or your DNS names. But yeah, you would have either variables to finish this out, to add like a user or a password, probably both, and all this stuff. But it's just different roles, right? Database servers, web servers, so on. You could also do it in YAML. Here's kind of how that looks, since y'all are learning about YAML, just a bunch of key value pairs. Okay, so we showed you the module ping command. I showed you how you can access different roles to call on those. You could also, oh, I didn't do this one. You can call on different like individual instances, right? On the aliases is what they're called. So let's do a less and then inventory. And then, so remember, this is the instance, or I'm sorry, the alias. You can call them whatever you want. You don't need them, but it just makes it so much easier, right? It just makes a variable. But yeah, you can definitely, instead of just calling like these individual roles, or I'm sorry, like these groups or roles or whatever you want to call them, you can just call directly onto the whatever instance you want, or alias is the correct terminology for this. But there is yeah, so to remove the warning, you're just gonna run this command. And let's go over that. Let's get out of here, clear it out, and we'll sudo vim. So right, we're creating this Ansible config file, right? And then we are going to inspect it, and we're gonna add this down to under our default section. Right, and then we're gonna escape, colon, WQ. But yeah, it's just interpreter Python, and then you're just auto styling it. It's just pretty much just telling it to shut up. Don't give us those warnings, right? So let's go back and just Ansible all with their module ping, and then you're specifying your inventory as whatever file you call it. So which is just going to do the ping for us, and it gets rid of those buggy, annoying warning messages. Right, so, but this is also kind of long. So what if we wanted to, where was it? I think we mentioned it earlier. We just wanted to do this one line, or we just wanted to condense our output. We could absolutely do that. You could just keep on tacking on these flags, right? And it will condense them down, right? And just makes it all single line, takes out these spaces. It's kind of, it's nice when you have like a massive output, but I much prefer just having the massive output and just having these nice spaces, because it does come back pretty neat. But if you do want to condense it for whatever reason, that's an option, right? Let's see. Does anyone have a question thus far?
I do have one question. Now that you added the auto silence, that doesn't silence the warnings, right? It's just, or not the warnings, the errors.
No. Yeah, you'll still, yeah, you'll still see errors. Like here, we could actually show you an error. If I don't specify my inventory, right? If I just wanted to do Ansible all.m ping, it's not going to know what hosts, right? You're not pointing to any host, so it should come back with some kind of error if I had to guess, it would probably say like there's no host in connected or something like that. But let's see. So warning, okay, so yeah, just came back the warning, not an actual error, because nothing actually broke. But provided host list is empty, only local host is available. No, yeah, so but yeah, right, there's no input, so just give us back a warning. But so I guess it's kind of an error, but it's also giving us a warning. So it doesn't mute all warnings, it's just the pesky, I don't know, the ones that are insignificant. I guess, right? Because those other ones were we didn't need to know about it. But for this, yeah, to me, you would want to see this. So it mutes the unnecessary ones, I should suppose. Does that help out? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. That's pretty much it. You can see like uptime, right, with the pass, or I'm sorry, the flag A. And then it just shows you like when your instance was up. We could actually run that right now. However, we still need to add the -I and just make it point towards our inventory. Right, and it just gives you our specifications. There's a whole bunch of like different commands and like arguments that you can pass in. And if you really want to go deep diving, you can just go look at the docs, and there really is a whole bunch of different commands. You could even run like individual commands on this is kind of like bypassing what a playbook would use or be for, but you can run commands in Ansible on like certain instances, right? If like you just wanted to I don't know, like install Apache on a single instance, you could absolutely do that. But you would typically do that inside of a playbook written in like YAML configuration. But yeah, but you can't just know that you can run commands on single instances in your inventory. I think that's about it. There's yeah. Yeah, so you like running commands on instances, you can like use them. There's like a different module, shout, right? Like we used the ping module earlier, and then it's adding a like an argument, and it does whatever that does. I'm not even sure what that does. But I wish it would say what it does, but it doesn't. So anyways, you could also just do regular basic like Unix commands, right? Like you can create like a file, and then you're using the module copy, and then you're setting the source of what file you want to copy, right? And then you're setting a destination, and it will make a copy of that file in that location. So yeah, you could use like the shell and use like Unix commands. You could also have it use like yum and install like nginx, and like do like Apache and whatever you want on like certain instances. But typically you would use like an Ansible playbook, which is like written in YAML configurations. Believe you're probably going to go more over playbooks. I don't know. Did you guys go over playbooks in depth like yesterday, or is it really just like an intro? Okay. I don't know.
I'd say intro at best.
What was that, Troy?
I would say an intro at best. I don't think we really hit it in a lot of detail.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Playbooks are pretty cool. It's pretty much like what Ansible is created for, right? You're gonna specify all these different I might be getting too into it since I'm not supposed to be covering too much on playbooks right now. I think that's for probably tomorrow's class, or I'm sorry, not tomorrow, but Thursday's class. But yeah, you can specify let's actually just do it less on that inventory. Yeah, you just specify like different roles and all your different nodes, and then you could have like actions or like tasks is what they're called, to do whatever you want, just commands. So really cool. It makes it super quick and easy to manage like your node pool or like your instance pool, right? Like just to manage a lot of different hosts. So with that being said, I think that's the it of the lecture. Does anyone have any questions on anything? Awesome. I see some head shakes. So hopefully everyone was a sponge today. listen to everything. But with that, we can call this good.